Children, today we will be learning about skeletal system. Now you can see this is a skeleton, okay, the inside of our body. So now you can see these are the limbs,
hind limbs,
okay, and this is the skull area, okay, this is the rib cage, okay, this is the hip bone, and from here the limbs are coming out, okay, so these are the limbs. Now this is the whole skeletal system, okay. Now we will be learning about the different parts. We will be having a closer view of the different parts. So let us start. Okay, so this is the top part and it is the skull. The brain is protected by this portion. Now we have the eye sockets, okay, where our eye is placed, and that is the nose. Okay, now I have told you that the nose is having no bones. Now this is the upper jaw and the lower jaw, and I have already told you that the lower jaw is the only part that is movable in a skull. Other parts are immovable. Now on top you can see there are lines. So these are the joints, okay, these are the immovable joints. Now this is the skull, and then joining the skull with the body is the neck, and this is the rib cage part. Now in rib cage we have 12 pairs of flat bones, and you can see these are 12 pairs, okay. Now the last 2 pairs out of 12 pairs are floating, okay. You can see that the last 2 pairs are not joined with the sternum, okay. Sternum is this one, the central, the mid portion of the rib cage, okay, and the rib cage is actually looking like a cage, okay, so that's why it is called a rib cage, and all these flat bones are called ribs, okay. So that was about the rib cage. So the floating ribs, you can see those are at the back. Now we will come to the hip. Okay, so this is about the, now if we turn the skeleton, we will see the backbone at the back. The backbone is actually protecting our spinal cord, okay. So this backbone is composed of small bones, okay, and these are called vertebra. So you can see the backbone. The backbone is joining the skull with the entire body. Okay. Now we are coming to the hip bone. Now this is the hip bone, and these are the limbs, the 4 limbs, okay, 2 forelimbs and 2 hind limbs, okay. So now next we will see the joints, movable joints. So here on the shoulder we have the ball and socket joint, okay, and on the hip bone joining the hind limbs we have the ball and socket joint. Now the ball and socket joint can actually help our leg to move in all directions. As you can see, the leg, the hind limbs can be moved to all directions. Just like that, forelimbs can also be moved in all directions by this joint, okay. Now on the elbow area and the knee area we have the hinge joint, okay. Now the hinge joint is helping in forward and backward movement. Okay, like in here also in the knee area hinge joint is present. That's why we can bend our leg. As you can see, I am showing over here by bending the leg. So that's why we can bend our leg. So now on the wrist area we have the gliding joint, and this joint helps in slight movement. Okay, so on the wrist area we have the gliding joint. Here you can see, and that's why we can bend our wrist area a bit. Okay, so it is helping in the in slight movement. Okay, now coming to the saddle joint. As you can see, this is the foot part, and over here these are the finger part. Okay, now if you bend your fingers, you see that you can bend your fingers like this. That means there are joints, movable joints present in this area. So the joint that is present is actually called the saddle joint. Okay, so this joint is mentioned in your answer. So I hope saddle joint is clear. Now coming to the limbs. Forelimb has upper arm, one bone that is called humerus, and the lower arm has two bones. Similarly, the hind limbs have upper leg has one bone and lower leg has two bones. Now the upper leg bone is known as femur, and it is the longest bone in a skeleton. So girls, this was about our first lab class. Okay, we learned the different parts of a skeleton. Okay, meet you in the next class. Till then, bye bye.